Okay, so there are a lot of assessments out there that people are using for work and to assess personalities. The question is, which one is best for you, for your team, and for your company? I am Will Graham. I am a certified working genius facilitator. And today we're going to pull back the layers a little bit on some of the other assessments that are out. Next, let's dive into MBTI, also known as Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. This was an assessment and a model that was influenced by the work of Carl Jung, but it was created by its namesakes of Myers and Briggs, two women that created this in 1923. Now, with Myers-Briggs, there are, as you may already know, 16 different personality types. And those 16 different personality types do roll up into 4 different categories as well. You have the analysts, the diplomats, the sentinels, and the explorers. Now, what you're looking at here is the grid of all 16 Myers-Briggs personality type possibilities. And as you can see, each one of those is represented by some 4-letter combination. We're getting ready to dig into the different letters and what they mean and why they fall into the order that they fall into. So the first letter is always going to be an E or an I, and it's all about where you focus your attention. And you're either going to be an E, which is extroversion, so for those that are extroverted, or you're going to be an I, which stands for introversion. Now the second letter is either going to be an S or an N, and this represents with the way you take in information. So you're either going to be an S, which relates to sensing, or N, which means intuition. Now the third letter is going to be either T or F. This is all about the way that you make decisions. You're either going to be T, which is thinking, or F, which is feeling. And the last letter is going to be a J or a P, and this is about how you deal with the world. You're either going to be judging or perceiving. Now it's time for the main event. We're going to take a look at the model that we're comparing all these other models to, and that is the 6 types of working genius. As you know, this is a new model that helps people discover their natural gifts and thrive in their work and life. There are 6 types of working genius. There's the genius of wonder, the genius of invention, the genius of discernment, galvanizing, of enablement, and tenacity. Those are the 6 types of working genius. Now, the question is, what kind of work have you been naturally gifted to do? Now, each of us has 2 areas that are considered our working geniuses. In my case, that's my working genius continuum. That's what's represented in the green there. And then 2 hours that are considered our working frustrations, which you'll see on the slide there, represented in red. And then 2 areas that are in the middle that we neither completely find miserable nor completely joyful. These are our working competencies, represented in the gold. Now, what are the working geniuses? The working geniuses are the activities that bring us joy, energy, and passion, and we're good at. Working frustrations are activities that rob us of joy and energy, and we're not particularly good at them. And working competencies are activities that neither feed nor drain us, in which we can do fairly well, but for a limited period of time. Now, there are 3 phases of work. The 6 types of working genius model rest on the notion that with every project or initiative, there are 3 distinct phases, all of which require different geniuses to accomplish the work. The 3 phases are ideation, activation, and implementation. Now, this is the altitude of geniuses. This starts at the 30,000 foot level and goes all the way down to the ground or 10 feet off of the ground. In the ideation phase, that's where you see the geniuses of wonder and invention having the most input or value. The next phase is activation. These are at slightly lower levels. This is where you see discernment and galvanizing having the most input or value. And then last, as you get towards the ground, you have the implementation phase at 5,000 feet and on the ground respectively, where you see enablement and tenacity are the geniuses that have the most input and value in that phase or altitude of work. And one of the things I think really sets the working genius apart from some of the other models is the team dynamics. It's like, how do you get the different team members to work together based on their working geniuses? One of the benefits of the working genius model is something called the working genius team map, and what you're looking at here is a sample. You see all of the working geniuses, you see a box for each one. They're separated by the responsive geniuses on the left and the disruptive geniuses on the right. And here you have an example of a team and whose geniuses fall in which areas and whose frustrations fall in what areas. And then you see where this team is light on certain geniuses. For in the case that we're looking at here with this particular team, you see that wonder is very underrepresented here. But then you have a whole lot of discernment and quite a bit of enablement as well. When it comes to things like both wonder and tenacity, you see that there are a lot of frustrations represented amongst the team. Speaking of that, if you really want to give your team a gift, really consider a Working Genius Live workshop for your team. It isn't just a workshop, it is a leadership team experience. When you give them the gift of a Working Genius workshop, you give your people the gift of understanding their natural strengths and accelerate your organization's results. Just go to geniusworkshop.live. There you will see a menu of options for the Working Genius half-day event. Pick the one that most works for you. Again, geniusworkshop.live.